The Galactic Union had faced many wars before, but never one like this. The Crafther Empire was spreading across the stars like a dark wave. They conquered one planet after another, leaving no survivors. Their ships were huge, covered in armor that could resist most known weapons. Every alien race that stood against them fell back in fear. The Union Council knew that if the Crafther were not stopped, the entire galaxy would fall under their rule. In desperation, the Union sent a message to every known world. It was a call for help, a plea for soldiers, weapons, and courage. Among the hundreds of messages sent, one reached a small blue planet near the edge of the spiral arm. The message reached Earth. Most members of the Union had only heard about humans from old reports. The species was young, only recently joining the interstellar community. Their world had once been full of wars and divisions, but they had united under one flag before stepping into space. Some believed they were brave. Others said they were reckless. None of the alien races truly understood what humanity had become after centuries of surviving on a world full of danger. The Council expected Earth to send its soldiers. Human troops were famous for courage and discipline. The aliens imagined a vast army of humans in metal armor, marching proudly with banners and songs. They imagined strong voices shouting orders, powerful ships arriving in formation. But what they got was very different. When the human delegation arrived at the Union headquarters, they came quietly. There were no speeches or proud introductions. The leader of the delegation was a man named Raoul. He was calm, dressed in a plain uniform with no medals or ranks visible. His eyes were sharp, his voice low but clear. The other humans around him behaved the same way. They did not carry weapons openly. They did not seem to care about the curious stares of the other species. The Union's General Varnick, tall reptilian alien, stepped forward. "We are glad that Earth has answered our call," he said. "The galaxy needs soldiers, and we hear your people are strong fighters. How many divisions are you bringing?" Raoul looked at him and replied, "We are not bringing divisions. We are sending teams." The general blinked, confused. "Teams, you mean small units for scouting or communication?" Raoul gave a small smile. "No, we mean teams for ending wars." The alien officers around the room exchanged nervous glances. To them, the answer made no sense. How could a few teams make a difference against the Crafther, who had millions of soldiers and thousands of ships? Yet Raoul said nothing more. He simply handed over a list of names and mission codes. The humans moved with quiet efficiency. Within days, they loaded into small black ships. These ships had no visible weapons, no markings, no insignias. They left the Union docks without fanfare. The alien officers who watched them depart whispered among themselves. Some thought the humans had misunderstood the message. Others thought Earth had tricked them by sending only a few instead of an army. General Varnick felt uneasy. "Are you sure this is what your planet is offering?" he asked Raoul before departure. Raoul nodded. "Yes, General. You wanted help? We are here to help. Our soldiers do not always fight in open fields. Sometimes we fight in the dark." The general did not understand the meaning of those words, but he accepted them. The Union fleet prepared for the next major battle near the planet Tarzan IV, one of the last worlds standing before the Crafther line. The Union planned to use all their remaining forces to stop the enemy advance. The humans were told to assist in reconnaissance and support. When the day of battle came, the Union fleets gathered. Thousands of ships filled the dark sky. The Crafther fleet appeared like a storm of steel. Their cannons glowed, their formations perfect. The aliens were ready to die fighting. But something unexpected happened. Before the first shots were fired, explosions shook the Crafther side. Their lead battleship broke apart in flames. Then another followed. Communication lines went silent. The Crafther began shouting across channels, trying to understand what was happening. Within minutes, 5 of their ships lost control and crashed into one another. Union commanders were shocked. They had not yet engaged. None of their weapons had fired. Yet the enemy was falling apart. General Varnick shouted, "Who attacked them? Did we launch an early strike?" A voice answered calmly over the comms. "Negative, General. The humans have begun." The general turned toward the holographic map. He saw small, blinking dots moving across enemy space. Tiny ships, smaller than fighters, darted between the massive vessels of the Crafthor. They moved like shadows, appearing and disappearing between energy fields. Every time one vanished, another Crafthor ship went silent. Inside one of those small human ships, a team worked with precision. Raoul sat in the control seat, watching the enemy fleet's structure on his screen. Around him, his people operated in silence. No one shouted. No one hesitated. Every movement was practiced, calm, and exact. "Target to neutralized," a woman's voice said. "Uploading virus to enemy communications." "Proceed," Raoul replied. A faint hum filled the cabin as the ship transmitted a signal toward the Crafthar command hub. Within seconds, the enemy network was overwhelmed. Systems crashed. Weapons refused to fire. Navigation controls froze. Raoul looked at the screen and spoke softly. "Let them feel what confusion means." The Crafthar commander aboard his flagship screamed for answers. He demanded reports from his officers, but all he heard was static. His own targeting systems had gone dark. His ships were firing blindly, hitting their own allies. The fleet's proud order turned into chaos. From the Union command ship, General Varnick watched the impossible unfold. The Crafthar, who had never known defeat, were tearing themselves apart. He asked again, "What are the humans doing?" No one could explain. The humans' small ships were too fast to track. Their signals scrambled. Within an hour, the enemy fleet broke formation and retreated. The battle was won without the Union firing a single major shot. After the chaos ended, Raoul returned to the command bridge of the Union ship. The general met him there, still in disbelief. "What did you do?" he asked. Raoul gave a calm answer. "We removed their leaders, their control systems, and their will to fight." "You asked for soldiers, General? You got something else?" The general stared at him, speechless. Around them, Union officers looked at the humans with a mix of admiration and fear. These were not soldiers who fought for glory. They fought with precision and silence. They did not need massive weapons or grand speeches. They ended battles before they truly began that night. While the Unions celebrated their unexpected victory, the humans remained quiet in their quarters. They did not join the celebration. Raoul stood by the viewing window, looking out at the stars. Another human, a woman named Mira, approached him. "They do not understand what we do," she said. Raoul nodded slowly. "They do not need to. They called us to win their war, and we will win it. But they will learn what it means to ask Earth for help." Myra looked at the stars and whispered, "And when they learn, they will never forget." Far beyond the battlefield, in the dark corners of the galaxy, the Crafthar warlords received news of their defeat. Their leaders were furious. They had never been beaten so easily. They promised revenge. But deep inside their ranks, a new fear began to grow. The Crafthar were used to fighting armies they could see. They were not ready for enemies who attacked from the shadows. Enemies who could destroy them without warning. The first contact between humanity's shadow teams and the wider galaxy had begun. The Union thought they had gained an army. What they had truly invited were Earth's ghostmen, women who carried the art of silent war across the stars. As the human ships drifted quietly back into the void, the stars reflected on their dark hulls. They moved like hunters, unseen and unstoppable. The galaxy would soon learn that humans were not just soldiers. They were something far more dangerous. They were the ones who ended wars before others could even fight them. The victory at Tarzan IV spread across the Galactic Union like wildfire. For the first time in years, the Crafthar fleet had been forced to retreat. The alien worlds that once feared destruction began to hope again. Songs of triumph echoed through the halls of the Union's capital. Yet deep inside, the leaders could not understand how such a victory was possible. The human forces had been small, almost invisible. Their methods were unclear. Reports from the battlefield spoke of sudden explosions, vanished commanders, and entire enemy ships going silent without warning. General Varnick studied every detail. He had commanded for decades and seen many wars, but nothing like this. He invited Raoul to the strategy chamber for a private meeting. When Raoul entered, he saluted politely and waited. "Captain Raoul," said the general, his voice calm but curious, "you and your people saved this sector. But I must ask how you did it. Our sensors saw nothing. Our scanners could not trace your ships, and yet the enemy fell apart. What kind of soldiers are you?" Raoul replied in his usual calm tone. "We are not only soldiers, General. We are specialists trained for situations where open battle is not enough. We fight in places your eyes cannot see." Now the general frowned. "You mean assassins?" Raoul did not deny it. "If that is the word you wish to use, yes. We do what is needed to end wars quickly." The general looked at him for a long moment. There was something unsettling about the way Raoul spoke. His eyes held no pride and no emotion, only focus. "Your methods are effective," Varnick admitted, "but they are also terrifying. The Crafther are in chaos, and now they fear us. Yet fear can spread both ways. Some in the council believe humans are too dangerous to trust." Raoul nodded slightly. "Fear is a natural reaction. It keeps people alive. We do not ask for trust, only for the chance to finish what we started." The general leaned back in his chair. "Finish it then. The Union will support your teams. The Crafther still control 3 major worlds near the core. If we take them back, the enemy will lose their power," Raoul agreed, without hesitation. Within a day, the human teams were on their way. Their ships were small, dark, and silent. They did not move in fleets, but in scattered patterns. Each ship had a crew of only a few people. No music, no chatter, only quiet focus. They entered the war zones without announcing their arrival. The first world they targeted was Dravos Prime, a planet covered with factories and shipyards. The Crafther had turned it into a fortress, guarded by hundreds of anti-air batteries. No one thought a small group could break through such defenses. But the humans did not plan to attack directly. Raoul's team entered orbit under the cover of debris. They used fake signatures to appear like broken asteroids. When they reached the dark side of the planet, they landed silently. Wearing black suits that absorbed light, they moved across the surface without being seen. Their boots made no sound. Their breathing was slow and measured inside the Crafther control complex. Hundreds of alien officers worked day and night. They never imagined that danger was already inside. The humans moved through the vents, through maintenance tunnels, and through blind spots in the cameras. Every movement was precise. Every target was chosen carefully. Mira, one of Raoul's most trusted team members, crawled through a narrow vent until she reached the command power core. She placed a small cube against the wall. The cube blinked once and then became invisible. Raoul whispered through the comms. "Stage 1, complete." "Confirmed," Mira replied. "Power systems ready." Raoul turned to another team member named Raffi. "Begin Phase 2. Raffi opened his wrist pad and activated the cube. The lights in the Crafther base flickered. Then the entire power grid shut down. Panic filled the enemy halls. Without energy, their shields failed. Communication stopped. The Crafther commander shouted for emergency teams. But before they could respond, a series of explosions shook the entire complex. One after another, the main weapon cores detonated. The ground trembled, and fire spread through the fortress. Outside, the human ship lifted off quietly. As they rose into the upper atmosphere, Raoul looked back at the burning base. He spoke softly to his team. "Mission complete. Prepare for extraction." They vanished into space, leaving no signal behind. When the Union fleet arrived hours later, they found the Crafther forces fleeing. The planet's defenses were gone. Not a single human casualty was reported. The Union soldiers cheered. They began to see the humans as legends. Some called them the ghosts of Earth, others called them the Silent Ones. Word of their success reached the Union Council again. The members argued among themselves. Some praised humanity as saviors. Others warned that such power was dangerous. But before any decision could be made, another report arrived. A second Crafther world had fallen. Again, no major battle. Again, no human losses. On that second planet, the humans had not used explosives. They had used information. Rawls' people hacked into the Crafther command network and broadcast false orders. Enemy fleets began fighting each other, thinking they were under attack by their own allies. By the time the truth was discovered, humans were already gone. General Varnick sent another message to Raoul. "You are winning this war faster than any army ever could. But the Council fears your silence. They want to know what happens to the captured Crafther leaders," Raoul replied through a calm transmission. "We leave them where they belong. Among the ruins they created." The general did not ask more. He knew there were some answers better left unknown. Weeks passed, and the human teams kept moving from one target to another. Each mission was different. Sometimes they destroyed weapon stations. Sometimes they spread confusion through enemy ranks. Sometimes they simply vanished entire command posts without leaving bodies behind. The Crafther grew desperate. They began to change tactics, setting traps and using decoys. But no matter what they tried, the humans always stayed one step ahead. The aliens had always believed war was about strength. They were learning that humans fought with something far sharper than claws or cannons. They fought with patience, timing, and knowledge. One night, inside the main human ship, Mira looked at Raoul and asked, "Do you ever feel sorry for them?" Raoul looked up from his screen. "For the Crafther. Yes, they are losing everything. Some of them probably never wanted this war." Raoul was silent for a moment. Feeling sorry does not change the damage they caused. Regret can come after victory. Until then, we focus on the mission. Mira nodded, though her eyes still showed sadness. The humans were efficient, but they were not machines. They understood the cost of every action they took in the following days. The humans began preparing for their most dangerous mission yet. The Crafther High Command had gathered on a massive space station orbiting a dying star. If that command center fell, the war would be nearly over. The Union prepared a full fleet assault. But Rawls' teams asked for permission to go first. General Varnick hesitated. "That station has over 10,000 soldiers. Even you cannot face that many," Rawl replied with calm certainty. "We do not need to face them. We only need to reach the heart." The general gave a slow nod. "Very well. The Union fleet will hold position until you signal." As the human ships moved toward the Crafther station, tension filled the air. The Union fleet waited in silence, watching through long-range sensors. Hours passed. No sign of battle. Then suddenly, the station's lights went out. Moments later, the structure began to break apart from inside. Small explosions traced lines across its surface. The entire Crafther command vanished in less than 10 minutes. When the light faded, only debris remained. Rawls' voice came over the comms. "Target neutralized." Returning to base, Union ships erupted in cheers. The war that had seemed endless was turning in their favor. When Raoul returned to the capital, the council called an emergency session. Every representative wanted to see the man who had brought the galaxy back from despair. Raoul stood before them, calm as always. One of the counselors asked, "You achieved what our armies could not. Tell us how many of your people fight in these missions." Raoul answered, "Less than 100. The hall filled with shocked murmurs. 100 humans had done what millions of soldiers could not. The counselor asked again, "What drives your kind to fight like this? You could have refused our call. You could have stayed safe on your own world." Raoul looked at the counselor and said, "Because we know what war costs. Our history is full of it. We learned long ago that sometimes the best way to protect peace is to end the fight before it grows. You asked for soldiers, but what you needed were finishers." The counselor leaned back. Unable to find words after the meeting, Raoul walked through the quiet halls with Mira. She looked at him and said, "They still do not understand us." Raoul smiled faintly. "They will. In time, they will learn that we do not fight for power. We fight to stop the darkness before it spreads. The galaxy may see us as assassins, but one day they will see that our silence saved them." And as the human fleet disappeared once again into the deep black sky, The stars themselves seemed to tremble. The galaxy had called for soldiers. But what it received was far more precise and far more terrifying a force that could turn war into silence. The galaxy was changing. The once unstoppable Kravthar Empire was falling apart. Their fleets that once darkened the stars were now scattered and broken. Whole planets that had served them for years were rebelling. The Union called it a new age of hope. But among the Kravthar, it was an age of fear. Whispers spread through their ranks about the humans. No one had ever seen them fight directly. They appeared without warning, destroyed key targets, and disappeared again. The Kravthar called them the shadows of Earth. Some said they could move through walls. Others claimed they could turn invisible. The more the Kravthar tried to explain it, the more afraid they became. In one captured system, a Kravthar commander named Drenkel gathered his officers. He stood inside a dim hall, surrounded by screens showing the remains of destroyed ships. His claws clicked against the metal floor as he paced. "Find them," he ordered. "Find these humans and show me how they fight." His second-in-command hesitated. "Commander, we have tried. Their ships emit no energy trails. They leave no heat, no debris, nothing. It is as if they are ghosts." Drenkel slammed his hand on the table. "No one is a ghost. Everyone bleeds." Yet he knew deep inside that fear was spreading even among his best soldiers. Every night, his troops reported strange sounds in the dark. Systems turning off for seconds, and small red lights seen through the mist. Each time they checked, nothing was there. A few nights later, Drenkel received an urgent call from one of his bases on a nearby moon. The officer's voice was shaking. "Commander, they are here. They took the control room. We cannot stop them." Before Drenkel could answer, the screen went black. Minutes later, the entire base exploded. The commander sat in silence, his claws tightening. He finally understood what his soldiers had been trying to tell him. This enemy did not fight to win battles. They fought to erase entire commands. Far away, Raoul and his human team watched the explosion from orbit. The mission had gone exactly as planned. Mira sat beside him, typing into her console as the ship's engines hummed softly. "Target neutralized," she said. "Enemy command in this sector is gone." Raoul nodded. "Good work. Prepare the next phase." Their operations were no longer about single victories. They were breaking the enemy's will step by step. By removing the leaders, the Kravthar lost direction. Without direction, their soldiers began to fight among themselves. Inside the Union fleet, General Varnik watched these results with growing unease. He admired the humans, but he could not ignore the fear spreading even among his own troops. Many alien soldiers whispered about the humans in private. Some said they could kill with a single look. Others said they could make enemies vanish without a sound. During a meeting with other Union commanders, Varnik spoke carefully. "We must remember that humans are our allies. Their methods may be unusual, but their loyalty has never been in question." One of the alien officers, a tall creature with silver skin, replied, "Loyalty or not, General, you cannot deny that their power frightens everyone. What if one day they decide, we are the enemy?" Varnik frowned. "They fight to end wars, not to start them. I believe that." But even he could not deny that humanity's silence had become as terrifying as the Kravthar's roar once was. Meanwhile, Kravthar High Council was losing control. Reports of assassinated leaders came every day. Supply lines disappeared. Fleets stopped answering calls. Some commanders abandoned their posts. Choosing exile over facing the humans, one council member shouted during a meeting, "We are being hunted. These humans strike from the dark and leave no trace. We must find a way to stop them before our empire falls apart." Another replied, "How? They do not come through open space. They strike from the shadows. They know our codes, our habits, our weaknesses. They fight as if they were one of us." The leader of the council, an old Kravthar named Sarvik, sat in silence. Then he said, "We will capture one. Only then will we learn how they think." It was a desperate plan, but it gave them a goal. They spread traps across several worlds, pretending to store valuable intelligence or rare energy crystals. They waited, hoping the humans would come. One of Rawls' teams detected the bait. Rafi, who led the scout group, studied the readings on his console. "This looks too easy," he said. "Their signal is wide open. It is almost an invitation." Raoul looked over his shoulder. "Then treat it as a trap. We will not enter their game. We make our own." He gathered the team and began planning. Instead of avoiding the trap, they would turn it around. Raoul wanted the Craftthor to believe they had succeeded. That night, the Craftthor detected movement near their false base. They activated shields and waited. Moments later, explosions shook the ground. Their sensors showed human energy signatures. The Craftthor opened fire, surrounding the area. When the smoke cleared, they found several human suits on the ground. Inside were empty shells. The humans had used decoys. While the Craftthor celebrated their capture, Rawls' real team infiltrated the base's main command hub and downloaded every bit of enemy data. By the time the Craftthor realized the trick, the humans were gone. Back on their ship, Rafi laughed for the first time in days. "They thought they caught us." Mira smiled faintly. "They caught shadows." Raoul looked at the data on the screen. "Now we know where their leaders hide. It is time to end this phase." Over the next 2 weeks, the humans used the stolen information to locate the Craftthor Council. It was hidden on a giant space citadel surrounded by asteroid fields and shield generators. The Union had tried and failed to locate it for years. Now, thanks to human precision, they knew every entrance. General Varnick met with Raoul once more. "If you strike that base, the war will be nearly over. But it will also reveal your true nature. The Council will see what your people are capable of. Are you ready for that?" Raoul answered simply. "We did not come for fame. We came for results." That night, the human teams launched. Small ships glided silently through asteroid fields, avoiding detection. Inside one ship, Mira guided the navigation while Raoul checked their stealth systems. Every crew member moved with calm purpose. They had done missions like this before, but this one felt different. It was not just another target. It was the heart of an empire. The Craftthor Citadel was massive, a metal moon surrounded by rings of defense drones. The humans drifted closer, cloaked by a signal shield that mimicked the surrounding asteroids. They reached the surface and landed on a maintenance dock. As they entered the station, they moved in pairs. No words, only hand signals. Every corner was scanned. Every sensor was disabled. They reached the core chamber where the council held meetings. Inside, the Craftthor leaders were unaware. They were arguing about new defensive plans when the lights flickered. One of them looked up in confusion. Then all doors sealed shut. Rawls' voice came over the intercom, calm and steady. "This war ends now." Before anyone could react, their security systems failed. Alarms rang, but nothing worked. Screens showed human symbols counting down. The counselors panicked, trying to open emergency exits, but it was too late. The control center collapsed inward as the humans withdrew from space. General Varnick watched as the citadel broke apart. When the debris cleared, the Craftthor command was gone. Varnick sent a message to Raoul. "It is over. The Craftthor have no leadership left." "You did it." Rawls' reply was simple. "We only ended what they began." But even after such a victory, the humans did not celebrate. They returned to their base ships, quiet and focused. Mira walked beside Raoul. "The Union will call this the Day of Freedom," she said. "But the Craftthor will remember it as the Day of Shadows." Well nodded. "History remembers names. We leave only silence." Across the galaxy, stories began to grow. Children of different races whispered about humans who could fight without being seen. Soldiers painted human symbols on their armor for luck. Even the Craftthor survivors used the word Terran to frighten their young into obedience. The war was ending, but its lessons were only beginning. The galaxy had always seen humans as brave but reckless fighters. Now they saw something else. They saw a species that understood the art of ending wars without glory, without songs, only with purpose. The Union called for a grand ceremony to honor humanity. Raoul refused to attend. He sent a message instead. We did not fight for medals. We fought so no more worlds would burn. General Varnick read the message aloud before the council. The chamber was silent. Every representative knew that humanity had changed the meaning of war forever. That night, while the celebrations filled the cities of the Union, Raoul stood by the window of his ship. The stars shone quietly outside. Mira joined him. Do you think they will ever forget? She asked. Raoul looked at the stars. They will remember. Not because of what we did, but because of what they learned. They learned that humans do not fight to conquer. We fight to end what others started. We fight so peace can have a chance. And as the human fleet moved silently into the dark once more, the galaxy slept in uneasy peace. The craft Thor were broken. The Union was safe. But every commander who looked at the night sky knew one truth when humanity fought. They did not fight like soldiers. They fought like ghosts who carried the weight of history, striking once perfectly and then fading into silence. And that silence, for the first time in ages, brought peace to the stars. The Galactic Union's central world of Borealis' prime was shining brighter than usual. Thousands of alien delegates had gathered for the High Council meeting. For the first time in years, the galaxy had a reason to hope. The long war with the craft Thor was turning in their favor. Entire enemy fleets were disappearing, strongholds were falling, and yet no one could understand how. Everyone knew one thing for sure. The change began after the humans arrived. The chamber was wide and circular, with floating seats arranged in rings. Representatives of every member species filled the air with noise, their voices mixing into a storm of confusion. Some were frightened, others excited, and many still unsure of what kind of creatures these humans really were. The council's leader, an old being named Velar, raised his hand and asked for silence. His silver eyes glowed faintly as he spoke. Bring in the human commander, he said. The doors opened, and Commander Raoul entered. He was tall, calm, and silent, wearing a simple, dark uniform with no medals. His boots made a steady sound on the polished floor as he walked to the center. His expression was unreadable. The aliens studied him closely. Some whispered to each other. There was no weapon on him, but something in his calm gaze made many feel uneasy. Velar spoke again, his tone respectful but firm. Commander Raoul of Earth, we thank your people for their help. Yet we are confused. Your arrival brought results that no one expected. Our reports say your forces have destroyed 30 enemy fleets, captured over 50 stations, and rescued thousands of prisoners. But we cannot explain how. Your methods are unknown to us. What kind of soldiers did Earth send us? Raoul stood straight. Earth sent you those who end wars. The chamber became silent. 1,000 eyes watched him. Velar leaned forward slightly. End wars? Explain what you mean, Commander. Raoul nodded slowly. When the Union called for help, you asked for soldiers to fight in your lines. But Earth has seen many wars. We learned that not all battles are won with armies. Sometimes victory comes from silence and precision. We did not send you our soldiers. We sent those trained to stop wars before they grow. We sent the ones who work in shadows. The delegates began to murmur again. Velar frowned, trying to understand. You mean assassins? Raoul's eyes did not change. If you wish to call them that, yes. But they do not kill without reason. You're trained to find the roots of conflict and remove them. They act when no one else can. A heavy silence filled the hall. Many delegates looked at each other nervously. The word assassin carried fear. It was something most species in the Union tried to avoid, believing open battle was more honorable. But open battle had cost them thousands of lives and countless ships. Raoul's tone was not proud or cruel. It was calm, as if he spoke a truth that needed no decoration. Velar looked troubled. You speak as if peace can be made by quiet destruction. Raoul replied softly. Sometimes peace must be protected before it can grow. Sometimes a single action in the dark can save millions in the light. Earth has learned this lesson through pain. We fight only when we must, but when we do, we finish what we start. One delegate from the aquatic species, a being named Thalon, spoke up. Our fleet saw no human armies. They saw empty enemy ships drifting in silence. They saw leaders vanish. How can such things be done without ships, without armies? Owl looked at him, because our kind has learned to fight differently. We move through places others cannot. We break systems that command their fleets. We study our enemies until they destroy themselves. We use their own strength against them. The room grew even quieter. Some of the alien generals present finally understood. The humans were not reckless or primitive. They were dangerous because they were disciplined. They did not need massive armies. They used intelligence, patience, and planning. Another council member, a tall insectoid named Varix, clicked his mandibles in thought. So you mean to say your kind does not seek glory? Raoul shook his head. Glory means nothing if the war never ends. We fight to protect, not to shine. Every name on our list, every mission we take, has one purpose: to stop the killing sooner, to keep the next generation from seeing what we saw. Viller's tone softened. You have ended many of our battles in days. What drives your people to do this? Raul's gaze lifted slightly. Because we know what war costs. Every nation on Earth has known loss. We learned long ago that war leaves no winners, only survivors. When humanity united, we built forces not to conquer, but to prevent wars. We built shadows to protect the light. The council was silent again. Many of them had seen humans as a young race, eager to prove themselves, always emotional and impulsive. But this man spoke with the calm of experience older than their records. They realized Earth had gone through endless conflict to reach its unity. The peace humanity now protected was built on centuries of lessons written in pain. Veller finally stood. Commander Raoul, the Union will always remember what your people have done. You have saved us, though your ways are beyond our understanding. But tell me one thing. Why did you not tell us what kind of forces you were sending? Raoul answered. Because if we had told you, you might not have accepted them. You were not ready to see what must be done for peace. But now you know. The Crafthar understand it too. So their leaders will not rise again, their fleets will not return. The war is ending because they now fear something they cannot see. Veller nodded slowly. He could not deny the truth. Reports confirmed that the Crafthar command structure was in ruins. Without orders, their fleets had begun retreating. Some had even surrendered. And it all happened without a single open battle led by human armies. A younger delegate named Sira, from a gentle species known for diplomacy, raised her hand. Commander, what happens now? Will Earth's assassins remain with us? Raoul looked around the room. They will go home. They do not seek power or control. They have done what was needed. But remember this. If the galaxy calls for soldiers again, you may find that humanity sends something else entirely. The chamber remained silent. Then slowly, one by one, the delegates began to rise. Some in respect, some in fear. Veller watched Raoul carefully and then bowed his head. The Union owes Earth a debt it can never repay. Raoul gave a small nod. Then repay it by keeping the peace. With that, he turned and walked out of the hall. His steps were steady and quiet. The doors closed behind him, leaving the council to their thoughts. Outside the grand chamber, the air was still. Raoul looked at the stars beyond the glass walls of Aurealis Prime. The sky shimmered with light from distant worlds. Behind him, his second-in-command, Mira, approached. She was another quiet figure, her uniform simple like his. It's done, she said softly. Raoul nodded. Yes, the war will end soon. Peace is fragile. They will forget what was done to protect it. Mira looked at the distant fleets orbiting above. Then we will remind them if we must. Raoul smiled faintly. Only if we must. They stood together in silence, watching the stars. No applause, no celebration, only calm acceptance. The humans had done what they came for. It ended a war that had consumed half the galaxy, not through power or numbers, but through skill, strategy, and will. Inside the council chamber, Veller sat quietly, thinking about the humans' words. He finally understood why the Crafthar feared them. It was not their weapons or ships. It was their mind. The ability to act with precision, patience, purpose, made them different from any race the galaxy had known. As the night passed on Borealis Prime, a message was sent across all systems. The war with the Crafthor was officially over. But another message spread through whispers and stories, a warning and a legend at the same time. It said that when humanity fights, they do not fight for glory or conquest. They fight to finish wars. And those who bring chaos to the stars should never forget what comes when they ask for soldiers, but get humanity's assassins instead. The galaxy was quiet for the first time in many years. The war that had consumed countless worlds was finally over. The Crafthar fleets had fallen apart. Their leaders were gone. Their armies surrendered one by one. The stars that once burned with fire and destruction now glowed peacefully again. On the main world of the Galactic Union, Borealis Prime, celebrations filled the cities. Fireworks of different colors burst in the sky. Every race in the Union came together to celebrate peace. Music played in the streets, children danced, and lights filled the night. For many, it felt like the start of a new age, but far from the crowds. In a quiet valley outside the main city, a group of human ships stood ready to leave. There was no music here, no crowd waiting to cheer them. Only silence, broken by the gentle hum of engines preparing for flight. Commander Raoul stood on the platform, watching his team prepare for departure. His uniform was clean but plain, with no medals or marks of honor. His face was calm as always. Mira walked up beside him, holding a small device that displayed the latest report. "The Union has signed the peace treaty with the Crafthor," she said. "It is done. Every fleet is standing down. The last battle is over." Raoul nodded. "Good. Then our mission is complete." Mira looked at him, her eyes thoughtful. "They are calling this victory the Miracle of Shadows. They still do not understand how we did it. Some are even afraid of us." Raoul's gaze stayed on the horizon. "Fear is not what we want, but sometimes fear keeps peace alive." She understood his meaning. The Crafthar had learned to fear the unseen. They once believed victory came from size and power. They now knew that true danger could come from silence. The humans had taught the galaxy a lesson that would not be forgotten soon. A small shuttle landed near them. The Union's council leader, Viewership, stepped out, followed by several delegates. They had come to see the humans off. The silver light of the sky reflected on their faces. Viewership walked to Raoul and extended his hand. "Commander Raoul, on behalf of the Galactic Union, I thank you and your people. Without you, we would have lost everything." Raoul accepted the handshake with a respectful nod. "You would have found your way in time. We only helped you see another path." Viewership smiled slightly. "A path through darkness, perhaps, but it led to peace. Tell me, Commander, what will Earth do now that the war is over?" Raoul answered simply, "We will go home. We will rest. Then we will watch the stars again. If peace holds, you will not see us for a long time." Viewership's expression softened. "You say that as if you expect peace not to last." Raoul looked up at the sky. "Peace never lasts forever, but while it does, we protect it." The council members stood quietly. They could feel the weight in his words. It was not pride. It was truth. Humans did not seek war, but they understood it better than anyone. They knew how quickly peace could be broken and how hard it was to rebuild. After a short silence, Viewership said, "There will be a monument in your honor, Commander. A symbol of what your people have done for us." Raoul shook his head gently. "You do not need to build monuments. Remember the peace, not the fight." "That is enough," Viewership nodded in understanding. Then he bowed slightly. "Farewell, Commander. The galaxy will not forget Earth." Raoul saluted. "Nor will we forget the Union." The council members left, and the humans returned to their ships. As the engines roared to life, the people of Borealis Prime looked up at the sky. They saw a fleet of dark, sleek human ships rising slowly into the air. No grand speeches, no music. Only the silent departure of those who had ended the war. Inside the lead ship, Mira stood beside Raoul at the command center. The stars stretched endlessly before them. "Where do we go first?" she asked. Raoul looked at the map on the screen. "Home, to Earth. The ship turned toward the distant blue planet that started it all. The journey took several days, through the Union's newly repaired gates. During that time, the crew stayed busy repairing systems, checking logs, and quietly reflecting. These were not ordinary soldiers. Each member of Rawl's unit carried stories that would never be told publicly. They had done what was needed, and that was enough for them. When the ships finally reached Earth's orbit, the blue glow filled every viewport. Oceans shimmered like mirrors, clouds drifted across continents, and cities glowed faintly in the night. It was beautiful and peaceful. Mira smiled softly. "Home never changes," Rawl replied. "That is why we fight, so it never has to." The ships descended to the hidden base, deep in the northern mountains. It was not a place of fame or honor. It was quiet, secret, and protected by nature itself. As the ships landed, the team stepped out. Breathing the fresh air of their world, inside the base, they gathered for a final debriefing. The room was simple metal walls, long tables, screens showing mission summaries. Rawl stood at the front. "You have done what few could," he said to them. "You ended a war that destroyed half the galaxy. You did it without armies, without glory, and without hate. You did it with skill, discipline, and purpose. Be proud of that, but stay humble. We are not heroes. We are guardians of peace." The room was silent, filled with quiet respect. Each person in that room had faced danger countless times, yet they never spoke of it. They were the unseen line that stood between chaos and order. After the meeting, Mira met Rawl in the control center. "Do you think the Union will really stay united now?" she asked. Raul thought for a moment. "For a while, yes. They have seen what war brings. They will try to avoid it. But time changes memories. Someday, someone will forget. And when that happens, we will be ready again." She nodded slowly. "And if they call for help again, will we go?" He smiled slightly. "Yes, but they must understand what they are asking for. If they want soldiers, they will get soldiers. But if they ask to end a war, they will get us." Outside the base, the sky darkened as evening fell. The first stars appeared above the horizon. Rawl stood alone, looking up. He thought about all the worlds they had passed through, the people they had saved, and the lives lost in silence. He did not regret anything. Humanity had shown the galaxy what true strength was. Not just power or technology, but the will to act when no one else could. In the years that followed, the legend of the humans grew. Across the galaxy, stories spread through trade stations, spaceports, and frontier colonies. Pilots told tales of invisible ships that moved without sound. Soldiers spoke of unseen allies who turned the tide of impossible battles. Children in distant worlds played games pretending to be the shadow warriors from Earth. Many did not believe the stories. Some said they were myths. But every leader, every general, and every ruler remembered the truth. They remembered the time when the galaxy called for soldiers and received something far more powerful. They remembered the humans who fought without banners and vanished without reward. On Earth, life returned to peace. The cities thrived, the oceans sparkled, and humanity looked toward the stars with calm eyes. The teams that had fought in the shadows went back to their lives quietly. Some became teachers, others engineers or explorers. They did not seek fame. Their work was done. One evening, Rawl and Mira stood at the edge of a high mountain, watching the sunset. The sky was golden, and the air was still. Mira said softly, "Do you think they will ever really understand us?" Rawl replied, "Maybe one day, but understanding does not matter. What matters is that they remember. Not who we are, but what we did." As the sun dipped below the horizon, the stars began to shine once more. The same stars that had watched them fight, same stars they had protected far away in the outer systems of the Union. A young alien officer wrote in her report, "Humans do not fight wars. They end them. They walk between peace and silence. If ever they are called again, may the stars guide those who stand in their shadow." And so, the legend of Earth's assassins became part of galactic history. It was told in whispers, sung in songs, and written in records. It became both a warning and a promise. The galaxy learned one lasting truth. When humanity fights, they do not fight for power. They fight for peace. And when the call goes out again, when the stars cry for help, those who remember will speak the same words. Be careful what you ask from Earth, for when you ask for soldiers, you might receive humanity's assassins instead.